I, Elliot Mainzer,
I, Elliot Mainzer,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies.
The amount of wind energy interconnected to the grid in Oregon and Washington has increased by a factor of 7, from 500 megawatts in 2006 to over 3,500 megawatts today.
Very first day at Bonneville to speak with you about something that's really, really important to me, and that is your personal safety.
And it's a great honor for me to be addressing you as the 15th administrator of the Bonneville Power Administration. Now, as I think some of you have heard me say before, if you'd asked me 7-8 months ago whether I'd be standing here today in this capacity at this particular point in time, I certainly would not have predicted it. But life most definitely works in mysterious ways.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the celebration this afternoon. I really, really appreciate it. I'd like to start by thanking you all for your kindness and words of support since I announced my departure from BPA earlier this month. Your sentiments and words of encouragement mean the world to me, and I will cherish the memories of my time at BPA for the rest of my life. During my time as administrator, I've tried my best to stay in touch with you, to clarify and explain our strategic direction, to help foster a safe and resilient culture, and to celebrate our shared accomplishments. During these very difficult times for our region and our country, I encourage you all to stay connected as a BPA community and to continue to support each other as you work through the many meaningful challenges and opportunities facing the agency. Today, as my BPA career comes to a close, I'd like to offer just a few parting thoughts. One of the foundational elements of my management philosophy is to take the long view. It's important to remember where we've been as an organization and where we are going, and to build an organizational culture and strategy that can stand the test of time. For me, safety, both physical and emotional, is the foundation of our culture at BPA and is key to building an agile and resilient Bonneville with the capacity to adapt to a changing world. If you see something, whether it be a physical risk or someone being mistreated or an inefficient or outdated business process, say something and do something about it. We have the power and the responsibility to take care of ourselves and each other and to continuously improve the way we do business. BPA will always play a central role in the Pacific Northwest, whether it be with respect to reliability, power supply, or environmental protection. By seeking to continuously improve the way we deliver on our important mission, we will be able to successfully navigate the many changes and opportunities coming our way. BPA has been through many economic and political cycles over its 83-year history. Going forward, the laws of supply and demand will not disappear. Markets and technology will continue to evolve, and policies will continue to adapt to changing circumstances. A big part of our job at BPA is to chart a steady course through these cycles and changes. This requires strategic acumen and business discipline. Over the past 7 years, we've worked hard together to put in place some foundational organizational architecture that I hope will sustain our progress well into the future. In addition to safety, we have focused on the other cultural elements of leadership, diversity and inclusion, equal employment opportunity, and responsiveness to our customers and other stakeholders. We've made progress in all of these realms, but there's more work to do to sustain our progress over time. We have also put in place a strategic plan with clear objectives and well-defined performance metrics and brought real focus, discipline, and accountability to delivering on that strategy. And while BPA's strategy will necessarily evolve and adapt over time, I do believe that a sustained focus on preserving our financial health, investing wisely, and modernizing our assets and system operations, providing competitive products and services, and meeting customer needs efficiently and responsively will enable Bonneville to remain an engine of the region's economic prosperity and environmental sustainability for many years to come. One of the defining phrases of my time as administrator has been bending the cost curve. We have most certainly made progress together on that front, and it has required the hard work and commitment of every member of the BPA workforce to put Bonneville on a more sustainable rate trajectory. I'm counting on all of you to keep bending that cost curve because it is key to maintaining the trust of our customers and preserving our role as their provider of choice well into the future. But we have bent other curves together as well. We have bent the safety curve and the asset management curve. We have bent the revenue curve by helping to develop new markets for clean capacity. We've bent the market design curve by demonstrating the value of coordinated operations to our customers and working with them to position Bonneville to join the Western energy imbalance market. And we have bent the transmission curve by negotiating a modernized open access tariff, creating a more scalable and efficient approach to transmission planning, and bringing increased customer responsiveness to our transmission operations. Most significantly, perhaps, we've bent the trust curve by building improved collaborative relationships with our customers and opening up new frontiers of partnership and collaboration in the realms of salmon recovery and resource adequacy. Along the way, we've learned to talk more openly and honestly as a BPA community about the difficult issues of racial injustice and inequality facing our country. As I move into my next set of professional challenges, I'm counting on all of you to keep bending curves. Bend them toward economic prosperity and environmental sustainability for the people we serve. Bend them every day in everything you do. In doing so, you will stay true to Bonneville's important mission and values and continue to make the Columbia River Basin a stronger, healthier, and more resilient place for us and future generations. As I close this chapter of my career, there are so many people and organizations to thank, from the Department of Energy and members of the Northwest Congressional Delegation to our customers, tribal, state, and federal partners, and members of the region's environmental community and other non-governmental organizations. I would like to thank my wonderful wife, Margaret, for her unyielding support and care during these years. Without her, my tenure at the helm of BPA would literally not have been possible. I'd also like to offer a quick shout out to my boys, Maddie and Benny, and to thank my parents and the other members of my family for their love and support. To the team that produced today's video and all the contributors, thank you for creating a virtual opportunity to come together and provide a measure of closure during these extraordinary times. And finally, to my senior leadership team, managers, and staff, it has been a tremendous privilege to serve as your administrator. I am profoundly grateful for your dedication and commitment over the past 7 years, and am filled with pride for your many accomplishments. I wish you all the very best and will be rooting for you as you lead Bonneville into its exciting next chapter. Thank you again, and please stay safe and healthy.
Hello, my name is Steve Oliver, and I was Bonneville Power Administration's Vice President of Bulk Power Marketing from 1996 to 2005. And I want to tell you the story of how Elliot came to work for the Bulk Power Marketing Group trading floor in early 2002. We were just coming out of the West Coast energy crisis, and I was looking to infuse new talent into the team as we had lost some folks to neighboring utilities and to some of the newly deregulated power marketers. So I posted some vacancies, and a fellow named Elliot Mainzer applied on the trading floor pricing and structuring manager position. Elliot had a very impressive resume, but I also saw that he had been employed by Enron as their green power marketing lead. Obviously, I was concerned because Enron was one of the parties considered responsible for the Western electricity crisis. But after doing significant background checks and having some meetings and discussions with Elliot, it was clear Elliot was a very bright and very ethical individual, and he was very committed to designing and delivering environmentally beneficial power to meet people's needs here in the Pacific Northwest. So in April 2002, I made an offer to Elliot to work for BPA as a manager of pricing and structuring. And in my attempt to make this offer, I found Elliot was trekking down in Patagonia. And after some difficult communication attempts, we connected. And at that point, Elliot tried to talk me into letting him join the group as the green power products marketer. But I convinced him that pricing manager position would allow him to design green transactions as well as provide him broader management skills and experience with BPA's other transactions. Besides, I said we're a system of 22,000 megawatts of installed hydroelectric capacity, and all you're going to be selling is green power. So Elliot agreed and began what was to be a very brilliant career at the BPA.
Hi, Elliot. I have reread the history of BPA not long ago, and I noted from its beginning, about every decade or so, there were huge challenges that required great leadership in order to overcome them. And in every case, we had the right administrator for the time, each very different and each with unique qualifications.
Elliot arrived at BPA with smarts and a passion for the environment. 15 years ago, the executive team was looking for a growth opportunity, and I suggested that he fill in as a supervisor of customer service engineering. Note that his degrees are in geography and environmental studies. A good listener and a quick learner, he developed an understanding of small and large customer needs and the nuts and bolts that connect them to the grid. As administrator, Elliot has ensured that BPA has leaders in place for the future. Elliot is passionate and persistent. More than a decade ago, he was an advocate for BPA participation in energy markets to get more value for BPA customers, for efficient integration of renewables while meeting the agency's mandates. There are many challenges, institutional, cultural, and technological. By engaging all stakeholders, outside and inside, Elliot has put BPA on the path for joining the energy imbalance market.
Elliot and I both started at Bonneville at about the same time in early 2002. We first started working together a few years later when Elliot did a detail over into transmission. While he was there, we talked about several of the issues transmission was facing, and we also considered the wisdom of an earlier decision that had been made to place our transmission tariff under FERC control. When Elliot became administrator, he decided to take back this control and to put Bonneville in its rightful place as a FERC non-jurisdictional utility. In successfully taking back control of our tariff, Elliot left us with a legacy of being able to include customer desires and regional interests into our transmission tariff rather than simply following the national paradigm.
Hey Elliot, Larry Beckett here. Wanted to congratulate you on your new assignment, but I also wanted to reminisce just for a minute about some of the old times at BPA. I'm remembering back to when I first got there, and here's this guy that was doing network open season. What that was all about, and all of a sudden we're building 500 kV lines because of all this wind generation being connected up. And then shortly after that, it seemed like you're Monday morning calling a meeting and saying, hey, I'm the new administrator of BPA, and we're all in shock. Boy, we went through some turbulent times there. But boy, shortly right after that, you're doing the energy imbalance market, and you're coming to me and saying, Larry, we got to figure out the transmission. And so we take on the next challenge. And shortly after that, it's regional planning. And shortly after that, it seems like it's day ahead market. And Elliot, it's been really a great ride. You've been a great sponsor and leader for our industry.
From his very first day on the job, Elliot reached out to me and other customers to listen to our concerns. Being so accessible and also holding himself accountable for results are some of the highlights of his leadership style.
Hey Elliot, a great big thank you and congratulations. Wait a minute, everybody is gonna say that. So you know what I wanna know is, are you crazy? Do you realize you are going to the dark side? Literally, I mean the dark side. California may pass it around, they may share it. It's called rolling blackouts. Elliot, rolling blackouts, fires. They have big fires down there, Elliot. And they have this thing called PG&E. You know, we have PGE, which is okay, we like them. But PG&E, Elliot, don't do it. Get out while you can. There's still time. We would love to keep you in the Northwest. In all seriousness, Elliot, I do want to thank you for your many years of contribution, in particular these last few as administrator. You've helped us all navigate some pretty challenging issues and done it with class, with style, and with integrity. Thank you for setting such a great example for all of us. And on a personal note, thank you for welcoming me into this industry, being a mentor, being someone I can share ideas with, bounce ideas off of. You've been a great leader to all of us, and thank you for that. Also, best wishes in your new role. I think you're going to be great at it. I think it'll help strengthen the relationship between the Northwest and California. And while I joke about California, I do hope that we can continue a relationship just on a different level, and I look forward to that.
Hey, Steve Wright here from the middle of the Upper Columbia and just a stone's throw from Sickler Substation. I want to take a moment and say congratulations and thanks to Elliot for a tremendous career at the Bonneville Power Administration. And I want to welcome him into the club of ex-administrators. This is a proud club of folks who understand the tremendous value that the Federal Columbia River Power System and the Federal Columbia River Transmission System bring to the people of the Pacific Northwest. And we appreciate that it's really the people of BPA who unlock the value that so well serves the people of the Northwest. I want to say thanks to Elliot because he really led me, I didn't lead him, in the development of the wind integration studies when we brought 4,000 megawatts of wind online in a short number of years. And then, of course, he went on to be a tremendous leader for Bonneville as a whole. And Elliot always stayed focused on serving the public interest, which I think is a key component of being a successful administrator. I want to say best wishes to him for his future endeavors. And I also want to say to the folks at Bonneville, just hope you will understand how critically important your role is to all of the people in the Pacific Northwest. We count on you to be able to deliver what will be a clean, reliable, and affordable electric power system that we all strive for. And you are the people who make that happen.
Probably the biggest challenge in your career was when you became acting administrator very suddenly on July 15th, 2013. You stepped into the abyss and quickly started moving the agency out of the quicksand.
Hello, everybody. Greg Delwich here in pandemic isolation from my basement of my house, in Northeast Portland, not too far from BPA headquarters. Congratulations, Elliot, on your now wonderful 7-year tenure as BPA's administrator. I look back fondly on my time working with you as deputy administrator. It truly was the pinnacle of my career, and I think of it nearly every day. When I think back to those early days of your tenure as acting administrator, you heroically stepped up to immediate challenges at hand, calming Bonneville's employees, its customers, and the region with 3 critical goals: taking care of BPA's employees, fixing the problems, and running the business. That was exactly what was needed at that time, and the positive results in all 3 areas speak for themselves. You then pivoted to 2 very, very critical and badly needed focus areas: to revamp the safety culture at Bonneville and to shine a very bright spotlight on BPA's competitiveness challenge and its cost structure. And again, the results in those 2 areas speak for themselves as you've moved the needle with tremendous success in both areas.
I still remember the first time I spoke to Elliot. It was about 12 years ago, and I was on a program delivery team for Western Energy Institute. I was looking for a keynote speaker from Bonneville, and Elliot's name came up, so I gave him a call and left a message. Next morning, it's about 5 in the morning, I'm at the Eugene Airport getting ready to fly out on a 6 a.m. flight, and the phone rings. Elliot did the thing that we've all done from time to time, and it goes something like this. If I call her early in the morning, really early, or really late at night, she won't answer. I'll leave a message and be done with it. But I did answer. And when we both got over our surprise, we had a good conversation. I learned that Elliot had young twins and wasn't doing a whole lot of sleep. And he went on to deliver a great keynote, and it was the first of many collaborations I've enjoyed.
Elliot should have grown up in the field because his connection with the people of the field is second to none. He not only respected, cared for, and admired the work that they did. I mean, they truly keep the lights on the Pacific Northwest, and he valued that. But he also cared deeply about them as human beings, and he wanted to connect with them on a real human being level, and he also wanted to make sure that they went home safely at night to their families. Elliot is truly one of the drivers for the safety program that we have at BPA and our journey towards safest utility in North America.
Under Elliot's leadership, we adopted safety as a core value at BPA. Thankfully, the story doesn't end there. Elliot didn't stop with making safety as a core value in a been there, done that, got the t-shirt, check the box sort of way. He understood that in order for our people to go home safely, each day we needed to make safety part of our DNA.
I really appreciated Elliot as an administrator at BPA. One of the things that was so terrific was seeing him motivate employees about how their work connected directly to the agency mission, no matter where they worked in the agency. I also think he really heard customer concerns about the cost trajectories of BPA, as well as the competitiveness of BPA overall. Those initiatives are still in motion, and we're working on those today and looking forward to seeing some of those come to the fruition in the next few years.
Several factors really dominated the power market landscape during Elliot's time as administrator. One was renewables transformation. By early 2013, the growth of wind in the Northwest had minimized, but it really started growing in terms of renewables and solar energy in other parts of the West exponentially. And this had a really big impact on what the market was focused on. No longer were we primarily focused on trading heavy load and light load hour blocks of energy, but we were now focused on the evening ramps and the morning ramps to support the wind integration. And of course, our Bonneville's marketing followed suit, as we're always trying to market to the highest value hours and time periods. A second factor was strong natural gas supply in the US. And this, when you couple it with the growth of renewables, they kind of both work together to depress energy prices, which meant that for Bonneville, for our surplus power, we were receiving less in the marketplace than we previously had. This put upward pressure on our power rates. We really needed to look for other sources of heightened revenue for our surplus capacity and to capitalize on the low emissions value that the federal hydro system could provide. And we've successfully done this in a couple of ways and consistent with the agency's strategic plan. One, we've been able to put together some long-term capacity sales with Northwest IOUs. And we've also grown our marketing with the community choice aggregators in California. These entities are looking for low carbon power to serve their loads, and the hydro system is perfect for it.
The most important element of any organization is its people. And Elliot has worked hard to ingrain how much value BPA's employees bring to our region. From engineers to conservationists and every job in between, the true value in BPA isn't just in its product, but the people behind the scenes who support the organization's mission and the relationships Elliot and his teams have helped to build with customers like Snohomish PUD.
Congratulations and thank you. Thank you for your leadership and all that you have done for our region and our industry. You are a great partner, and we look forward to continuing to work with you in your leadership role west-wide and at the CAISO. And we know that you could start early at 5 a.m. and you have a lot to accomplish and a lot of issues to tackle. And please know that you still have great friends in the Northwest. Thank you.
Elliot, I've always respected how much you value relationships, and believe me, I value ours. And tough problems have champions and adversaries, and answers don't come easy, and tension is inevitable. And this is why relationships matter, and it requires authenticity in how we listen and how we learn. When I stand at the looking back place to gather strength, I also gather determination by thinking about the hard history shouldered by the tribes and the development of the river system across our homelands, the rivers that we love. And you sat with us to revisit that history so that you could better understand our frustrations and disappointments, because understanding those and recognizing those are important in building and maintaining relationships. Woody Guthrie, he stumbled across the basin writing his Columbia River songs, and when I gave you a copy of the album, it was intentional that the lyrics on the back remain visible, because his ballads fell woefully short, and that happens when people have a blurred vision and they overlook the beliefs and the values and the cultures of the diversity within this basin. Guthrie got it wrong, but you didn't. You built relationships across the basin by listening and learning. Even in tough times and disappointment, those relationships remained intact. And you also showed courage to speak up and push back when someone from the outside wanted to bend processes or timelines for big decisions. And in doing so, you took a punch or two, but that reflected your values that you put on these relationships, and they're much appreciated.
The Federal Hydro System has provided the Pacific Northwest with 2,000 megawatts of clean, reliable, flexible, and low-cost power for many decades. These dams have been worked hard, some for 80 years, but without getting in return the adequate care and attention needed to assure their continuing performance for future generations. As a steward of this amazing public resource, you, Elliot, saw the critical need to reinvest in this system, but to do so wisely and affordably. In 2015, you personally initiated a collaboration with our partners at the Corps of Engineers and Bureau of Reclamation to improve the management of these valuable assets. You recognize that such an effort to be successful and sustainable would not be easy and would need buy-in from all three agencies. You got that buy-in at the highest levels. The Asset Investment Excellence Initiative and the first asset plan followed, establishing best practices in the lifecycle capital management of the FCRPS. Now, a new, rigorous and disciplined program is in place, targeting limited capital dollars where the greatest value can be gained. This program has been supported by the region and our customers and has led to a 50% increase in the annual investment levels.
I've worked with Elliot for nearly 18 years. In that time, we've tackled some tough issues, and with that, Elliot has built a strong culture of One BPA decision-making. With the creation of the Business Transformation Office, Elliot ensured that we deliver our key strategic initiatives in the most efficient and effective way possible. His leadership led to the development of the enterprise architecture function, which allows us to make more strategic decisions with a clear view of the implications across the entirety of the agency. The BTO has also provided strong program management that allows us to manage the project budget, deliverables, and scope for all our key strategic initiatives to ensure success. Elliot's legacy will ensure success for BPA and the region in the future.
There's a lot of things I could share about Elliot Mainzer. I'm going to share one thing that I just really admire about him. 2015, he came out to tour some facilities at Lower Valley Energy. Fall River was invited to that. I had the opportunity to sit in the cab with him as we went from place to place and talk about the issues of the day and the future. And during that conversation, Elliot expressed an interest in building some relationships with some of the new managers in the Northwest and wondered if we could put together a meeting with a group of relatively new managers. We did that in 2015 in September. We had about 25 new managers, and we got to pick the topics that we wanted to talk about. And to Elliot's credit, he dedicated 4 or 5 hours for those meetings. And we talked about the issues of the day, about the problems we were facing, and about the future. And in a collaborative fashion, he talked about how we solved those. And it was just a great experience for me. Those meetings went over, we had 5 meetings spread over about 3 years, and I just
appreciate his dedication to build relationships and then work collaboratively to identify solutions and make sure we understood the problems before us.
The development and execution of BPA's strategic plan is playing a key role in changing the culture within BPA, bending BPA's cost curve, and positioning the agency to become competitive in the future. I also want to recognize the agency on the development of the final EIS. I know you personally spent countless hours working on balancing salmon recovery and the interests of the region, including BPA's customers, Northwest tribes, and all the other parties involved.
Hi, Elliot. I just wanted to wish you a heartfelt thank you for all that you've done here at Bonneville, not only for Bonneville as an agency, but personally as well. You've been a phenomenal colleague to work with from the first days that you came to Bonneville on the trading floor, and we were fellow managers trying to figure out how to navigate the changing markets, break down silos, and just bring people together. I just really appreciate the words of encouragement, the vision, the energy to drive forward, and really always wanting to do the best for Bonneville and the best for the region. And I'd say that's your hallmark here, that you just have a heart for this region. You have a heart for people, and you have a heart and a passion for wanting us to be the best we can and to drive us forward. And that is something that is going to be a lasting legacy, Elliot.
I remember one meeting where we were talking about agency costs, and our members were talking about urgency and the need for Elliot to feel like his hair was on fire. And he really took that to heart, and he executed on a strategic evolution at BPA on both performance and cost.
You and I have been fortunate to spend a lot of time together in a variety of arenas, both at PPC, at the Peanut Collaborative, also working together on issues outside of our associations that we belong to, and really appreciate all of your hard work and things that you've done for us. You know, I reflect also on, my favorite moment with you, and I know you brought this up at the last PPC meeting you attended when Deborah Smith from Seattle City Light asked you about what was your most memorable moment sitting in front of the PPC Executive Committee. And you brought up when someone asked the question about who was going to potentially look at other resources post-2028. And I was the chairman at that time, and I was the one that asked the question. And I remember leaning over to Scott Corwin and saying, I respect Elliot, and I think he needs to know, that others are looking at potential options outside of Bonneville. And he looked at me and said, boy, I don't know if you should do that or not. And I said, well, I just feel it makes sense for Elliot to know that. So when I asked the question, I was nervous as all get it, but hey, hopefully it helped us and helped you provide the means to start to look at the cost containment at Bonneville and bend the curve, as you call it, on Bonneville's costs.
Hello, this is Jim Webb. I'm the CEO of Lower Valley Energy. And I appreciate the opportunity to say a few things about Elliot Mainzer and the time that he's been the administrator at BPA. I'd like to start by saying 7 years ago, when Elliot first started in western Wyoming and eastern Idaho, we had a major outage. There's 6 of us customers that are served out of the Goshen substation. That went totally down. We were all in the dark. And the amazing thing was that each of us that morning, while the outage was going on, got a call from Elliot to see how we were doing and to apologize for the outage and to let us know that he was on top of it. That told me right then that this guy is going to be a little bit different, that he really is focused on the customers, and I appreciate that about Elliot.
Hey Elliot, thanks for giving me the opportunity to be an executive at BPA. It's amazing working in your positive work environment, and it's really been an inspiration to me. Your passion for the work we do and for the Northwest as a whole really inspires both myself and the entire Environment, Fish, Wildlife Department. Finally, thanks for the gift of your time as we work together on many critical issues. Your words of encouragement and support made the tough days easy.
Elliot is strategic, and he truly cares about the reliability of our system, of course, but also about species recovery, about relationships with all of the folks who use our river system, and about mitigation for the impacts of hydro on that river system that we all love. He has thoughtfully brought folks together to engage in dialogue and share common interests. It's hard work. It's too early to say whether it will bear fruit, but the commitment to communication, to open dialogue, to learning and growing from each other will bring value for years to come.
The Pacific Northwest is so much the better for all your efforts. You've been, frankly, one of the best administrators I've ever worked with in any agency ever. And, the spill agreement, that's historic. That's going to go down in history as a smart, collaborative, kind of the Oregon way, I'd like to think Northwest way, about solving problems. So we're going to miss you. We're going to really, really miss you. You set wheels in motion for a much more collaborative discussion in Northwest over how we deal with fish, how we deal with power, how we deal with our economy here. So I want to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart. If there's anything I can ever do for you, please don't hesitate to call. Take care, my friend.
Hi, I'm Paul Norman. I worked for Bonneville for 27 years. In the last 10, I've been involved with Bonneville Environmental Foundation. Bonneville Administrator has a really tough job. They've got to manage a spectacular generating system and transmission system on behalf of a really diverse and sometimes slightly wacky group of interests, including power customers, transmission customers, other states, other nations, other government agencies, environmental groups, tribes, and even Bonneville's employees. And they have to listen to all those folks, all of whom think they're right and all of whom think they're the most important, and make everyone feel like they're heard and fairly balance all those interests. And equally importantly, keep their eye on the ball of the facts and the best possible analysis about the right thing to do. That's a really tough job, and I don't think anyone's done it as well as Elliot. And Bonneville's benefited greatly from his ability to pull off that balancing act.
All right. Hi, Elliot. This is Kat Brigham. I wanted to wish you the very best in your upcoming year or plans, but I also wanted to thank you for the work that you've done with working with the tribes and working us as a sovereign nation and working with us on collaboration and partnership. Through our collaboration and partnership, we've done a lot in protecting our natural resources, but the main thing I want to show you is behind us is the Walla Walla hatchery work that we worked so hard to get moving forward, and we're really pleased with that progress.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Bowles. I'm the Fish Division Administrator for Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And you could say I've spent a career working on salmon recovery. Although Oregon and Bonneville often find themselves on opposite sides of the courtroom, I really welcome the invitation to help celebrate Elliot's legacy at Bonneville. I feel I've gotten to know Elliot pretty well since he took over the reins, and I believe he's the right person at the right time, really to help envision but also usher in this energy future so essential to the region. Elliot's leadership wasn't only instrumental in this low-carbon energy landscape, though. He also created the space for the interim flexible spill and power agreement. This provided more spill for fish, but it did so in balance with power and operational needs. I don't believe this would have been possible without Elliot, and perhaps just as remarkable as the agreement was the relationships among usual adversaries that really empowered this successful collaboration. Now, obviously, we've got a long way to go before we get to actual recovery, but I believe this represents good faith and good steps in the right direction.
Resource adequacy has certainly become a significant topic here in the Northwest, not only for BPA, but also for the entire Northwestern utilities. With your leadership, Elliot, and your guidance, BPA and the other utilities have formed the start of a program underneath Northwest Power Pool that will certainly have long-term impacts for us here as we look to stand up a program to help identify resource limitations, congestion points, and opportunities in order to help serve our customers in a more efficient manner.
When reflecting on Elliot Mainzer, I think a few things come to mind. First, he got the job under very difficult circumstances. Secondly, BPA also faced serious competitive challenges. Elliot righted the ship, but also charted a new course for BPA. It is this combination of putting out the fire while preparing for the future that is so challenging for leaders. Elliot's legacy will be that he did put out the fires, but he also charted a course towards a better future. That course is not yet finished, but another part of any legacy is putting a team in place that will finish this work. I think Elliot's BPA team can deliver. We are depending on that. If I had to boil all of Elliot's characteristics down into one or two things, I would say that it is his intellectual honesty and being driven by principles. He leaves BPA stronger today than when he became administrator. That is what we want from our leaders: honesty, sound principles, and to make things better for the future. I think Mr. Mainzer delivered on that.
Toya Bligent here from the Office of Civil Rights. Elliot, while I am happy about the wonderful opportunity that you and your family are about to embark upon, I wish I had more time to work with you. We're not done, Elliot. We need you to stay. We still have more things to get done. And you and I were just getting started. Do you think that is possible, that I might be able to convince you to stay? It's a teeny tiny favor for a new friend. Well, all jokes aside, the Civil Rights and EEO Office is a place where there is now significant focus on proactive prevention of illegal discrimination. And based on what I've learned about the way BPA was long ago versus the way that it is today, and based on my personal observations, I'm sure that the proactive prevention business model I've implemented would not have worked under anyone else's leadership but yours, Elliot. It's fair to say that I came into the organization at the perfect time. I am immensely grateful for the real, meaningful conversations that we've had about some very difficult topics. Thank you for trusting me to lead the organization's civil rights and equal employment opportunity efforts. Your support was much appreciated. I feel confident that because of you, BPA is more equipped to pick up where you left off and to move the organization through our cultural transformation so that civil rights, equal employment opportunity, diversity, inclusion, and alternative dispute resolution goals can be achieved, and the high standards that you set will be maintained.
Elliot has been willing to look beyond the entrenched positions that BPA has taken historically on a number of issues, but particularly as it relates to salmon. I particularly appreciated Elliot's willingness to step back and evaluate the big picture and look at the salmon and the snake in the Columbia rivers and how do we get to a place and how do we forge a solution that can really work for everyone. Elliot took this challenge up and approached it as how do we bring people together and make our interests additive? How do we solve our problems with each other and make everybody whole and make everybody better rather than pit ourselves against each other? We don't have the answers to all of that yet, but Elliot has been instrumental, I think, in creating and helping to advance that kind of thinking and that kind of approach, to this issue, as well as others. And I think that is part of the genuine legacy that Elliot, has to leave this region.
The agency moved from bottom quartile safety performance to top quartile safety performance. And most importantly, we are not satisfied. Our mindset has been shifted. We want to be the best. We ask ourselves, what do we have to do to ensure everyone goes home safely? And that is the beginning of a cultural transformation.
Elliot Mainzer leaves behind a legacy of an unwavering commitment to valuing our people. And it wasn't episodic. It was something that he paid attention to day in and day out. And he wanted our leaders and our managers and our employees to always think about how we can put our people first, whether it's around our safety and our core values, to our leadership behaviors, to the new people and culture strategy that has just been published.
Hello, my name is Julia Goodstefani. I'm a senior attorney at NRDC based here in the Columbia River Gorge. And as a wildlife advocate here in the Gorge, I have, over the past several years, been engaged in the Columbia River Systems Operations EIS process, from scoping to draft to final. And although that process has at times left me wanting to pull out my hair, I have a deep admiration for the culture of open-mindedness that Administrator Mainzer really brought to that process. The willingness to address our differences, to challenge ourselves, to take a hard look at each other's facts and figures, and the integrity with which Administrator Mainzer approached that process. I will greatly miss working with Administrator Mainzer at Bonneville, and I hope that the spirit of collaboration, unlikely allies, and seeking durable solutions for environmental stewardship, I hope that lives on as his legacy at BPA.
Elliot, congratulations on an outstanding career at BPA. You're leaving the agency better than you've found it when you stepped into this role. We've got so many years of service to the region, but you took us to a whole new level on a number of important things. One that comes to mind is how through your own intensity and enthusiasm and focus, you changed our relationship with the state of Oregon for better for the region as we move forward on protecting and recovering salmon in the basin. You also care deeply about our people, and I will always remember and reflect on the how you came at the effort to give our employees more leave to accommodate their family needs during COVID. You drove that policy. It was like a bone in your teeth, and you wouldn't let go. And you did it for our workforce. You did it for people because you could see, you knew people that would be impacted by that, and that was a problem we needed to fix. One of the measurements I think for a leader is how do they show up when no one is looking, when people are, when something needs to be done, and somebody just needs to step in and grab the reins and make it happen. And I think about both the relationship, our improved relationship with the state of Oregon, and our efforts to help our employees during COVID are times when you just did the right thing because you knew it was the right thing.
As technologies, policies, and our industry expectations evolve, we look to BPA as a partner. The opportunities we have to collaborate and innovate together will help ensure resource adequacy and affordability for decades to come. The relationships Elliot has helped foster with BPA customers and stakeholders will be invaluable as we all face the challenge of going 100% carbon-free.
And when I think of Elliot, I think of the word partner. I think he has done such amazing work, and one of the really important projects that we've worked on together is the Boardman to Hemingway transmission line in partnership with PacifiCorp. And for the three entities that are working on it, it's a critical project, but really I would argue it's also going to be a very important project to the region as we all connect markets as a way to really enhance our clean energy plans. The other thing that I really appreciate Elliot for is his vision to reinstate the Northwest Power Pool as an institution of influence that really can represent the Northwest as things transition. And he's really been a driving force behind that. And I he talked about it for a very long time before we started to realize that it or create it in reality. And I think it was the right vision, and I think it will pay dividends for years to come. And it's something that we need to continue to build upon. I also think that he has created such a strong bridge building between the IOUs and the publics that, again, is something that we'll need to continue to fortify and build as we go into the future. And I give Elliot a lot of credit for just, being such a relationship focused person that it's really been amazing to watch.
Just wanted to take this opportunity to express our appreciation for all the contributions that Elliot has made to the Bonneville Environmental Foundation. His time with the organization has been some of the most high impact that we've seen in our 20-year history. And Elliot stepped in and immediately started contributing with his vast knowledge of the region, of utilities, of new challenges in the energy sector, helping us at BEF think about new and creative ways to collaborate and advance BPA strategic priorities and many of the challenges across the nation. It's been a tremendous pleasure working with Elliot and being able to tap into his expertise and his deep knowledge. He's helped guide us immensely across all manner of activities at BEF, helping us understand needs and interests of customer-owned utilities, figuring out new pathways to support and solve some of those challenges. Also thinking out of the box and helping us advance new partnerships and new concepts that can play a significant role in helping advance the strategic priorities of BPA.
My name is Peter Cogswell, and I manage the Intergovernmental Affairs Group for Bonneville. On behalf of the entire team, I want to say thanks and congratulations to Elliot for an outstanding run as administrator. The reality is that Elliot's time as administrator didn't begin under ideal circumstances. There was a lot of uncertainty, frustration, and even a little bit of fear about what might be next for the agency. But Elliot got it quickly turned around. And since then, it's been an outstanding ride through the different twists and turns of the policy world as we work together to try to position the agency appropriately, both to protect the workforce and to ensure that the agency is able to deliver on its critical mission moving forward.
What a lot of folks don't appreciate is that Bonneville can operate only within this complex web of statutory authorities and obligations. As a creature of statute, it simply cannot function outside of those authorities. Yet most of those statutes are 40, 50, and even 80 years old, and were designed for a world that was expected to look entirely different. They impose inconsistent and downright conflicting obligations. For example, Bonneville is supposed to run like a sound business, but offer the lowest possible rates, all while being encumbered with some really hefty funding obligations. And there's this enormous tension between some really clear-cut statutory rights to the system and all the other uses of the system. This creates a unique and an extraordinarily difficult dynamic for operating a utility. To get things done in that kind of a dynamic, it takes more than being smart and being a good business person. It takes a vision. It takes strategy. And perhaps most importantly, it takes creativity and it takes guts. There is a small universe of people who have all that. And Elliot is obviously one of those people.
The next thing I'd like to say is that we've been working with BPA for, I think, almost 15 years to try to develop a transmission project from Soda Springs to Lower Valley service territory called the Hooper Springs Transmission Line. BPA did a great job of getting all the environmental work done, getting all the easements. And about 2 years ago, they were on the verge of just getting started with construction. But we had noticed that the cost kept climbing at no fault of BPA's, but it was getting expensive. So we asked to meet with Elliot and approached him about a different idea that maybe if Lower Valley was to build the line and that BPA would lease it back, we could save a little bit of money. And literally it was at the 11th hour. The project was ready to start, but to Elliot's credit, he was willing to listen to us and to see if there was to explore an opportunity to work with the customer to see if we could save some money. And because of that, we saved millions of dollars working together as a partnership. We got the Hooper Springs line built. It's operational, it's working well, but we saved lots of money because of Elliot's willingness to listen to a customer.
I often say a litmus test of a great leader is one who comes in and leaves the organization in a better place than it was when they first came in, and I think you've certainly done that. When I think about your tenure and the opportunities that you've created among the executive team, I think you've done an outstanding job in terms of diversifying the executive team and bringing a real collaborative effort to everything that we do. Collaboration is one of the C's I really think about, but there are other ones. For example, competitiveness. I think you've done an outstanding job putting us on the right track. Our strategic plan is really the right thing that we need to be doing right now, creating financial health, looking at our customers, creating new products and services, modernizing our assets. So making sure that we're competitive in the future, and as we get into re-signing our customers, which we will do, we are able to provide the best products and services for them. I think another C is culture. And if you think about our culture, wow, what an effort. Whether you look at making safety our top priority, coming in on the heels of some tragedy, you really focused on that, and I think our organization is a much better place because of it. You also look at our leadership behaviors, creating a real focus on our employees, making sure that from a leadership standpoint, we're doing the things that we need to do to create a really great environment and also allow us to be as effective as we can and efficient. And then the last thing I would say is looking at just how we value people. From a culture standpoint, that's tremendous. I know that you have a big heart. You've always put our employees first, but just the valuing people day in and day out, is something that I firsthand have been able to see and appreciate. And I know that all of these things we will continue because those are the foundations of really any great organization.
Over the past several years, I've had the pleasure of working with Elliot Mainzer on several issues important to the people of the Northwest. One of the highlights for me is the key role that Elliot played in inspiring the collaboration that led to the Flex Spill Agreement. Now, as most of you know, the ESA era debate concerning fish survival and hydroelectric operations has more often than not found its way into the federal courtroom. After the most recent visit to court in 2017, Elliot Mainzer decided that he was all in on an alternative that would include a collaboration with regional partners to see if it was possible to find a win-win solution. So Elliot made that a priority for Bonneville Power Administration and dedicated both policy and technical resources to make it happen. And that dedication inspired others to come to the table and work hard towards a solution as well. Now, there were a lot of challenges along the way, hurdles that included technical problems, policy issues, legal and political challenges as well. But Elliot was steadfast, and I know he lost some sleep, but I'm convinced he was the glue that kept the collaboration together. And the end result was something that the region had not seen before. A solution that increased survival of fish through the hydro system, but at no additional expense for the ratepayers. I also believe that the momentum and the trust associated with that collaboration has led to widespread interest in continued regional collaboration to find solutions in the region that take care of fish, tribal culture, economic health of the region, and certainly reliable, clean energy. And I think Elliot has a lot of responsibility associated with developing that atmosphere. So Elliot, I believe you've paid it forward to the region and set the stage for more collaboration in years to come.
I also want to thank you for the great staff that you've implemented at Bonneville behind you. You know, your bench strength at Bonneville is good. They're very open and willing to talk with us. The transparency that you've left as a legacy is an important part of the discussion going forward, because we need transparency out of Bonneville. We want Bonneville to be our partner, and in order to do that, we need to understand the issues that Bonneville faces, and we need to make sure that that transparency and that legacy continues on, and I know you'll carry that on to the Cal ISO as well.
Hey Elliot, it's Paul Shalander from the Idaho Public Utilities Commission. You probably didn't recognize me. I've been masquerading as a garden gnome now since this COVID thing began. I was asked to share a few thoughts about you and your time at BPA, and I'm honored to have a chance to do that. I guess where I'd like to start is by simply saying that I've long believed that every day above ground is a good one. It's a rule I think that applies to everyone with the exception, perhaps, of the administrator of the Bonneville Power Administration. What a thankless job. You get to deal with countless stakeholders who view you as the keeper of the piggy bank, and regardless of what you might want to tell them, you bite your tongue and you move forward. Surviving BPA is one thing, but thriving at BPA is entirely a different thing. And Elliot, you've managed to thrive in an environment where others would have simply given up. In your time at BPA, you've dealt with more than just troubled waters. You've had the pleasure of dealing with troubled constituents, troubled customers, troubled regulators, and, well, you get the picture. You've got to deal with a lot of trouble. And through all of that, you managed to keep a steady hand on the wheel and kept BPA moving forward. And perhaps one of the greatest achievements is being able to lead BPA on your own terms. That, in and of itself, is a major success. And you leave the difficult job of BPA administrator to go to work for one of the largest electricity interests in the West, where you'll work with regulators from multiple jurisdictions who rarely share the same opinion, tenacious utilities with diverse problems that rarely align, a governance system that probably will never satisfy everyone. Oh, and you get to take the reins of this new job during some of the most disruptive times in the energy sector. Times that are plagued with the threat of utility bankruptcies and rolling blackouts. But timing is everything, and getting the right person for the job at the right time is what it's all about. So take everything you've learned at BPA and apply it to the new gig. Then, when you're done, pay someone to ghostwrite your autobiography, because I'm sure you're going to have some great stories to tell.
Elliot, congratulations on your new job at the California ISO, and thank you for so many years of great work at Bonneville. I think of three things when I think of your work. The first is courage. You had the courage to challenge conventional wisdom about how many renewable resources our system could integrate. You did the research, you brought people along, and we went from having renewables in the high two figures at the end of the 90s to having thousands of megawatts today. You also modernized the system, which I know people were nervous about spending money on, but I think it's better for the agency and better for the region. Second, you're a great collaborator. You listen, you work with people, you're willing to come to our turf, and as an advocate, that made a huge difference. I always thought that your contributions were really genuine. It was never a matter of you just checking something off the list of things that you needed to do. In the Montana process, we had so many different kinds of food groups, and you and your staff did the work, brought people together, and demonstrated that we could really unearth the generous endowment of renewables that Montana has to offer. Sometimes you talk faster than I can listen, but I'm willing to put up with that for how good you are at being a collaborator. And finally, you're curious, and I think that makes a huge difference. You're curious about people and you want to build relationships with them. You're curious about how the system works and how different kinds of resources are going to fit together. I think that you are a great leader with a ton of vision, and I feel confident that we are going to have a clean energy future because you are going to help lead us there.
I want to convey my very best regards to Elliot, to his BPA colleagues from NRDC. When I started my job more than 40 years ago and worked in the Northwest, some people refer to the BPA administrator as the last viceroy, as a kind of a superhuman, superpowered individual with minimal accountability and responsibilities, prerogatives, and privileges exceeding those of ordinary mortals. That's not the case anymore. Empathy, a capacity for diplomacy, and an ability to listen, along with a whole lot of expertise, are at the heart of what it takes to be a great administrator, and Elliot's been a great administrator. He is part of the reason why Bonneville is now seen by so many as an essential partner in the clean energy transition. He goes now to a platform which I hope will prove at least equally productive for him, and he goes with all of our very best wishes.
Hi, this is Nancy Hirsch with the Northwest Energy Coalition. In the 24 years that I've been a stakeholder working with Bonneville, Elliot is the first administrator I have worked with who really embraced innovation and valued partnerships and collaboration to change the status quo. Don't get me wrong, Elliot really was committed to Bonneville's core mission and obligations. Yet, he wanted to refresh the thinking and modernize the way BPA met its obligations and engaged with stakeholders. A great example of that is the I-5 corridor project, a $1.5 billion transmission line. This was a bread and butter project for Bonneville. Yet, after a special advisory committee of regional and national experts concluded that a portfolio of non-wires alternatives would be cheaper, drive more innovation, and maintain the same level of reliability, Elliot made an unconventional and risky call. He stopped the project. That took guts and confidence in the Bonneville workforce that they could deliver the creative tools necessary. That's the way Elliot led the agency. He made those tough calls. And it's the way I hope the agency will continue to evolve, focus on innovation, modernizing the way the utility industry works and Bonneville's role in it. And we're going to need that kind of innovation and partnership with Bonneville to meet all of the region's clean energy needs.
Hi, Elliot. Congratulations on your excellent tenure as BPA Administrator and CEO. As you already know, you and Peggy Fowler are two of the most admired CEOs for me that I've ever encountered in my life. For a similar reason, you each took over major Northwest utilities at an extremely troubled time. Peggy was taking over PGE amidst the wreckage of Enron, and you took over BPA at a point where BPA was recovering from an extremely difficult passage, the loss of an administrator, controversy in Washington, D.C. with the department, congressional hearings, all kinds of other issues surrounding hiring and selection. And the thing the two of you have in common is you both walked into the job and focused on the mission of the organizations. You had an unrelenting focus on BPA's responsibility to serve its customers, to perform its mission, to carry out its contracts, to play its role in the region, to protect, mitigate, and enhance fish and wildlife, and to keep BPA's rates competitive, and to provide a safe working environment for its employees. That focus was so timely and was so important for BPA. From that point, you went on to put a strong emphasis on strategic planning, on BPA's interrelationship with others in the region, on bending the cost curve and keeping
BPA competitive and arriving at new arrangements with critical constituent groups involved in BPA's activities in the region. Most notably, the flexible spill agreement, which you were able to arrive at an agreement with the Fish and Wildlife agencies and the tribal governments in the region to regulate spill at the federal Columbia River projects in a way that would benefit fish and would also be reasonably compatible with the power system. That was a big deal and a big accomplishment. You also emphasized strategic planning and the future of the BPA workforce. Among the things you did was instill a new sense of responsibility and cooperation and camaraderie among BPA employees, including going out of your way to catch people doing it right. So the employees of BPA and the people of the region will be eternally grateful to you for your work. Now, I would also add that you and I first met when we were working together on the Wind Integration Steering Committee. There's no person in the region more responsible for the enormous role that renewables are playing in today's utility world in the Pacific Northwest than you. You figured out and you inspired others to figure out how to deal with the intermittent power production from wind and solar and make it a huge component of our resource portfolio now and for the future, and to keep hope alive that we can work our way to a completely carbon-free electric future in the Northwest. So for all of these accomplishments, you deserve a huge amount of credit.
Elliot, I wish you all the best and thank you for your leadership.
Elliot's been a great partner in promoting the interests of the public in the Northwest, and I wish him all the best in any future pursuits. And I also hope he finds some downtime, at least for that one interest we share, and that is music that feeds the soul.
Elliot, I want to personally thank you for your leadership over the past 7 years. More than that, I want to thank you for your engagement in safety, for valuing the people that work for you, and for recognizing that safety starts at the top. Congratulations and best wishes on your next adventure.
So thank you for everything that you've done and for leaving such an amazing legacy for us to continue to strive towards as we continue to move forward in this very challenging and uncharted territory. Thank you, Elliot.
As we at BPA face the inevitable changes that will continue to come, we will remember some of the guidance that you have imparted to us in your colorful phraseology over the years. We will put some brainstem on it, use the CPU between our ears, seek out opportunistic opportunities, pursue those that are worth some paddle in the water, and bring home the bacon for our customers. Congratulations on your new position, Elliot. You will be missed.
Elliot, it's been a true privilege to be able to work alongside you and BPA in our shared efforts to deliver safe, reliable, affordable, and environmentally sustainable energy to our customers and more broadly to the Pacific Northwest. Snohomish PUD and BPA have a long history together, and thanks to your work, our future is bright.
I'm going to miss our lunches, our check-ins, our calls, our coffees, the text messages, our field trips, and sharing a podium with you. But I'm fortunate that in the time together, it has led to a special place, to the place where we can call one another friend.
So good luck in your next adventure and Godspeed.
And I thank you for what you've done during your time as Bonneville Power Administration. I appreciate our professional relationship, and I certainly wish you well in your future endeavors.
Congratulations, Elliot. Congratulations, Mainzer family. Best wishes for a successful, fulfilling, and rewarding future. From Toya Blygen, and the Office of Civil Rights staff.
And everyone at BEF wishes Elliot the very best, and we're incredibly appreciative of his time working with us and supporting our efforts. Thanks so much.
So kudos, Elliot, and wish you well on the next chapter.
Best wishes, Elliot, and I look forward to working with you in your new capacity.
Thanks again, Elliot. Good luck to you and your family. Enjoy Sacramento and California, and thanks again for all you've done.
Thank you for everything you've done for the region, for Bonneville, and for me. Best of luck in your next venture.
So wish you the very best, and thank you for all your work. Thank you.
Anyway, best of luck. Appreciate our relationship and hope that continues. Thank you, Elliot.
I will miss seeing you every month, but I know we will stay connected. And again, all my best, and thank you so very much. Bye.
I wish you the best and look forward to seeing what you do next.
I just wanted to wish you and your family all the best in your new journey, and thank you for your leadership and friendship up here in the Northwest.
Thanks, Elliot. Thank you for your work and your service to the region and to BPA.
I appreciate Elliot's expertise, intelligence, and friendship.
So thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you today. Congratulations to Elliot, and congratulations to everyone who works at the Bonneville Power Administration.
So feel good about the things that you've done. And personally, I really appreciate your friendship and leadership and look forward to working with you in the future.
And Elliot, I wish you the absolute best on the next chapter of your career. Take care.
And Elliot, thank you for what you've done to the region, and I hope that we have a chance to work with you on down the road.
So on behalf of the team, thank you, Elliot, for all of your great work on behalf of Bonneville and its employees.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Elliot. Best wishes and good luck.
Congratulations on your new job, Elliot. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I will miss you.
I want to wish you all the best. I know that you're going south, but hopefully your heart is still here in the Northwest, just like the river here behind me. All the best to you.
Today, we have a greater level of confidence that the FCRPS will continue to deliver that clean, reliable, and low-cost power for the next generation. Well done, Elliot Mainzer.
Good luck, Elliot. I'm really going to miss you in the region. Congratulations.
I just want to tell you thank you. Bonneville is a much better place because you've been here, because you have helped spur us on and given us a vision and really helped us strategically go after some big key goals. You truly are a wonderful, wonderful leader, and you've left quite the legacy at Bonneville.
Best wishes, Elliot.
As I was reflecting on your tenure as administrator, you have been the right one for this organization over the past 6 years. Your unique blend of intellect, commitment to public service, your environmental ethic, and your passion for the issues, and your empathy have been the right, unique blend of skills. You've helped BPA become more competitive, and you have honored its most important asset, its people. The Northwest is better for your tenure at BPA, and I wanted to thank you for your service.